Right now at 6, a basketball giant and Trailblazers legend gone at 71.
Yeah, I can't imagine it getting any better, but I'm sure you folks will find a way to make it better.
This evening, we remember Bill Walton's remarkable life and his Rose City legacy. Also ahead, tragedy on I-5.
They were trying to be good Samaritans, and it cost one of them their life.
What firefighters saw when another driver veered right into a crash scene. And on this Memorial Day, honoring those who gave so much in service.
And if we can remember them, we keep them alive.
The local tributes making sure we never forget. This evening, Portland says goodbye to Trailblazers great and NBA legend Bill Walton, the Hall of Fame player turned broadcaster who, through victories and setbacks, chose to see himself as lucky. Died this holiday weekend after a long fight with cancer. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. Walton led the Blazers in '77 to what was the team's first and to this day only NBA championship. We'll have reaction, including from former teammates, to how his death is being felt here in the Rose City and beyond in just a second. But first, I want to bring in Art Edwards with a look at Walton's storied career. Art?
Yes, it was an amazing career, David. You know, Bill Walton is always going to be remembered for his time here in Portland, his unique style both on and off the court.
The most enduring Bill Walton memory for Portlanders will likely be the 1977 Trailblazers NBA championship. Walton was the centerpiece of that championship team. In 2017, he returned to Portland for a reunion of that championship team. He talked about encountering fans who were often surprised to see him.
They just have this look in their face of like, and then they look at me and they say, I was there. I was there, and I can proudly say that I was there too.
But his basketball story began before that. He was a star at UCLA, named College Player of the Year 3 times, and leading the Bruins to 2 NCAA titles. The Blazers picked him first in the 1974 draft. That began a roller coaster ride in Portland. He was injured for much of the first 2 seasons he played in Portland. And then came the championship. Walton embraced the community and everything the Pacific Northwest had to offer. He played 5 years for the Blazers, and then in 1979 he moved on to the Clippers and finally the Boston Celtics, winning a championship with Boston in 1986. Walton was the subject of an ESPN documentary in 2023 called The Luckiest Guy in the World. Producer Steve James noted Walton was not lucky, but that's how he chose to see himself.
You don't have 34 surgeries in your life and have an NBA career that was 14 years long, but really more like 5 years of playing. You know, that doesn't make you the luckiest guy in the world. But he's chosen that as his mantra and as his way of being thankful for what he has been given.
Walton's second act was as a broadcaster. He overcame a stutter to become a popular Emmy Award-winning analyst. He said he was shy and didn't speak much. In 2017, he told the Oregonian, "Then, when I was 28, I learned how to speak. It's become my greatest accomplishment of my life and everybody else's biggest nightmare." Known for his on-air reflections, Walton worked both NBA and college games, sometimes wearing Grateful Dead tie-dyed T-shirts on the air. He often called the Pac-12 the Conference of Champions during broadcasts. Through the years, Walton would return to Portland. In 2019, it was for the Blazer bike ride. He rode through town with fans and shared thoughts about the city.
This is where my dreams come true. The dream continues to expand. This is such a remarkable facility, state, community, town, everything here, and this is where I started.
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said today that Bill Walton redefined the center position. He will be remembered in Portland for a lot more than basketball. Bill Walton was 71 years old.
And he is without a doubt a champion. Thank you, Art. This evening, reaction is pouring in, including from Walton's former Trailblazer teammates. Joe Ranieri talked with 2 members of the '77 championship team. So, Joe, what'd they tell you?
David, both Bobby Gross and Larry Steele were on that 1977 championship team. They remember Bill Walton as one of the best teammates and a guy who loved everything about the game of basketball.
Bill Walton only played 5 seasons for the Portland Trailblazers, but he left a lasting impact on the team and the city.
I mean, a lot of a lot of success, and I think a lot of people don't really understand how important he was to the game of basketball.
Brandon Bowden is the general manager of Spirit of 77 in Northeast Portland. He remembers the memories Walton brought as a player and as a broadcaster.
It's really sad that he's passed away, but I think that there's a lot of fond memories in the Portland community of him, and I think that he'll kind of live on in that kind of inspiration to the community.
Many fans took to X, formerly known as Twitter, to say how sad they were that he passed away. Former teammate Bob Gross saw him earlier this year.
Not a huge surprise because he didn't telecast, he wasn't on the Pac-12 this last year, and I saw him in, I believe it was January, February, he was up here for an event, and he didn't look good, even though I pressed him. I said, how you feeling, how you doing? He says, I'm doing great.
Gross still calls Walton one of the best teammates he's ever had.
Just a lot of good memories with Bill. Bill was the ultimate teammate. He was only into winning. He could have probably scored 30 points a game if he wanted to, but he wanted to make sure that the team ran the way it was supposed to run.
Larry Steele was one of Walton's teammates on the Blazers championship team too.
This guy just loved to play basketball.
He got to know him really well and saw firsthand how he would try to take care of his body through all of the injuries he faced throughout his career.
I was fortunate to locker right next to Bill for 5 years at Memorial Coliseum. So I was there through all of his diets, his breatharianism, his carrot juice.
The Portland Trail Blazers released this statement saying, Bill Walton was a true legend and an extraordinary player, talented broadcaster, and vital part of the Blazers organization. His mastery of the game not only established himself as one of the greatest centers in history, but also led the Blazers to a championship in 1977.
The locker room after we won the championship, the more I think about it, that was a really fun time, even though the TV cut out. We still had fun in the locker room.
A moment that was cut off for millions on that day lives forever for these guys who share a lifetime of memories together.
Current Blazers team owner Jody Allen called Walton an icon and said in a statement his leadership and tenacity on the court were a key to bringing a championship to our fans and defined one of the most magical moments in franchise history. We'll always treasure what he brought to our community and the sport of basketball. And David, real quick, you heard Bobby talking about how the live coverage of their celebration was cut off. It was cut off so CBS could go to a golf tournament at the time, something that they still haven't lived down. Back to you.
A moment in history. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate your reporting on this. You can find much more about the life and legacy of Bill Walton on KGW.com, including reaction and tributes from around the NBA as they grow and beyond. In your headlines this evening, Gresham police are still looking for the person they say shot a 16-year-old at a car show over the weekend. This was just after 3 on Saturday afternoon near Northwest Fairview and Burnside. The teen was shot in the leg and was taken to the hospital. He is expected to survive. The window of a business nearby and a truck also appear to sustain damage. Gresham police said someone who works nearby recorded video of the suspect and shared it with investigators, though so far they have not put out a description. In Forest Grove, police have made an arrest in a vandalism spree that left at least a dozen vehicles with dents and broken windows. Authorities say this began in October when several drivers reported being shot at with BBs and ball bearings near Pacific Avenue and E Street on the city's west side. Then earlier this month, after a few months of quiet, it seemed to start up all over again with similar complaints to police. Authorities say they arrested 28-year-old Caleb Spurlock on Friday night. They say he had a slingshot and a container of ball bearings at the time. And Oregon's winter ski season has now officially come to a close. Mount Bachelor and Ben had its final day yesterday, and on Mount Hood, today marked the last day for Timberline Lodge. Timberline finished the season with 595 inches of total snowfall. That is going back to September. By the way, you still can get some summer turns in up on Palmer Glacier through late August, or send the kids up for ski and snowboard camps. The downhill bike trails are set to open in early July. Matt?
Thanks, David. Yeah, the Palmer Snowfield will continue to provide thrills for the summer camps for the next month or so at least. And look at Mount Hood right now. You can see the clouds kind of swooping over the top of the hill, often an indication that we're going to see a change towards stormier weather. And we are. We have an incoming weather system that'll put an end to the clear sky over the mountain and over the valleys. It's 56 up at 6,000 feet at the beautiful historic Timberline Lodge in the Mount Hood National Forest. And the snowpack, actually, at least on May 1st, was right at 100% of average for that date. which was great. It's about 150 inches about a month ago. Looking south from Timberline, Three Sisters, Mount Jefferson, some clouds building on the west side of Mount Jeff, but not a lot going on there. We're not really seeing any showers yet. But on Doppler radar, there is rain showing up off the coast of Washington, and that'll be our rain tomorrow. Not for the morning commute, but for the afternoon commute, we'll begin to see the showers return to the northwest, certainly to Oregon. So they return tomorrow, I think about 11 a.m. at the earliest, and then into the afternoon. Temperatures, of course, cool down. But we get a warm start to June as we rebound at the end of the week. David?
That's some good news. Thank you, Matt. We're learning new information this evening about a crash along I-5 in Clark County Friday night. Authorities say where a woman who had stopped to help another motorist was hit and killed by a driver who apparently was not paying attention. Thomas Schultz is in the newsroom. So Thomas, walk us through what we know here.
Yeah, well, David, firefighters say the woman who died had stopped along the interstate with her husband to help a driver who crashed into a guardrail.
They were trying to do their best. They were trying to be good Samaritans, and it cost one of them their life.
On Friday night, Clark Cowlitz fire rescue crews responded to a car accident north of Ridgefield after a driver crashed into a guardrail.
So we took the slow lane and shut it down with our truck. Unfortunately, people still come right past us.
Fire Rescue Assistant Chief Emin Ryan says crews warned oncoming traffic up to a quarter-mile away of the crash.
This was the battalion chief rig that was a quarter-mile back from the scene.
And while they worked, they had help from a husband and wife who had pulled over to help the driver. Though as crews were packing up, tragedy struck.
So right here you can tell that the bumper is out of its normal area, and then this is the tire.
Ryan says the driver of the pickup truck, Guadalupe Munoz, veered toward the scene, hitting the fire truck.
Right here is the tire marks.
Then the husband and wife.
I wish he would have just ran into the vehicle itself, to be honest.
The wife, Jessica Blindbury, died. The husband is in critical condition. And Ryan says the truck driver is suspected to have been impaired. And the interstate is the most dangerous place for emergency crews to respond.
We worry more about our firefighters on the freeway than in structure fires.
Ryan says close calls happen often, despite Washington law saying drivers must move a lane over for crews. If they can't, they must slow down. Sadly, this time, that didn't happen, leading to the death of a woman who was there just to help someone else in need.
They made a decision to pull over and try to help, and unfortunately it cost one of them their lives.
Just devastating. And the driver of that pickup truck, Munoz, was arrested for vehicular homicide. He's been booked in the Clark County Jail. David?
Yeah, really a sobering reality check. Thank you, Thomas. Following up this evening on Portland police doubling its downtown bike squad in an effort that includes targeting drug dealers on nights and weekends. This videos from this past weekend where officers along with Oregon State Police arrested suspected drug dealers at gunpoint, they say, including in the South Park blocks and Old Town.
So we had a really good weekend, multiple drug dealing arrests, we recovered firearms, drugs, fentanyl. We've kind of spread out. We're essentially all over downtown now, and we hope to continue these efforts as the summer keeps going.
Blair Best will have much more on these efforts and how the downtown community is responding. That's coming up at 6:30 on The Story.